Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you, coming at you with some Twin Spright, a deck that I was already planning on covering, in the near future anyway, but now that we have the new alt arts for the evil twins, both Kisakil and Leela, definitely as good an excuse as any to dive back into this deck. So also a good excuse is the fact that Spright Starter is now at 3. Definitely been wanting to try more Spright variants. Try more Spright variants if I'm not always playing Spright anyway. But of course, with the starter back at 3, definitely wanting to cycle back through these variants again here. So with Twin Spright, someone made a pretty good point in the last Spright video that said that Twin Spright actually has the most starters out of any Spright deck, and I would venture a guess that that's probably accurate, because each of the live Twin cards are actually full one-card combos by themselves. So with that in mind, we have the 3 Kisakil, the 3 Leela, on top of that, the 3 Sunny Snitch to search them, and a secret password is 10 one-card starters in the Twin archetype alone. Factor in the 3 Spright starter, and then boom, you've got 13 one-card starters, which is quite a bit. You could even, if you really wanted to, play even more copies of Secret Password to up the count of that. But I really don't think you need that many copies of Secret Password. I'm only on 1, but you honestly don't even really need 1. Like, this card is very optional. And if you were going to play it, I would only play 1, maybe 2. Again, if you really want more starters there. But like I said, I don't really think it's super desperately needed there. But yeah, as far as like the build itself goes, of course the new cards, quote unquote, to the deck are simply alt arts of old stuff. So really this build is very similar to a lot of builds that I've played previously of Twin Spright, right? We're very focused on the Twin and Spright engines, and then beyond those, we're maxing out on a lot of hand traps. For our hand trap count, we're on 3 Valor plus 3 C is 6, plus 3 Ash Blossom is 9, Nib makes 10, and then 13 for the 3 Imperbs, for once again a total of 13 hand traps, just like we have 13 one-card starters. So again, though, you could definitely increase this number if you wanted to. Another very nice thing about this deck from a deck building perspective, right, is that it's very flexible in that regard. As far as flex spots here, if you wanted to put in more starters or hand traps, the second carrot is a bit of a flex spot. I like having more Spright monsters as extenders if I have more room in decks like these, but definitely not required. Neither is, of course, the single copy of the Triple Tactics talent. But again, if I have some extra room in a deck, I typically do like to play at least 1 copy of this card. I've actually been liking playing 1. In the past, I played 2 a lot of the time, but I will say there were a number of hands where I would just have 2, but both of them in my hand, they'd both be dead. So although of course you see it a lot less often when you're only on 1 copy, only playing 1 copy of the Triple Tac does sort of mitigate that risk, right? And then we have a Gamma Burst. Oh yeah, because I wanted to mention this too, because I've had some people ask me, why I don't play Double Cross or Smashers, and I really just don't find these cards very necessary as end-board pieces. With Jet, the vast majority of the time, you're going to be searching starter anyway, but it's here's the thing, right? Even if you already, let's say you started your plays with starter, right? From there, honestly, Jet grabbing starter is still not that bad, especially in a world where IP has a really good link to target to go into, right? Previously, in previous metas before SP Limelight came out, activating Spright Starter during your opponent's turn wasn't really something you could do until after you'd done all of your other plays, right? Especially your IP, because you would often go into a Nightmare Unicorn or an Underworld Goddess. And it's at that point, by the time you've already triggered all those effects, you either, 1, are very likely to not have a level rank or link to send off for, the carrot slash red that you summon off starter. And 2, even if you do, it's probably really late into your opponent's combo line, maybe even too late for that to really matter. However, with the Little Knight coming out, you can use Spright Starter during your opponent's turn a lot sooner, and it doesn't matter if you 2-lock yourself, because again, your IP target is just going to be a link to anyway. It also doesn't really matter from a Twin perspective if we 2-lock ourselves, because, of course, we're using the Kisakil to pull out the Leela from the graveyard, which is a link too, so All right, let's see. Extra deck, again, pretty standard here. For my big Link monsters, like my IP targets, again, SP Little Knight is the big one. But for my others, Nightmare Unicorn and Underworld Goddess, it might seem a little weird to play these cards, but the reason I have these as IP targets is that these are both fiends, right? And if you use either the effect of, you know, Evil Twin Kissekil or Evil Twin Leela to special summon, then you are locked into only summoning fiends from the extra deck for the remainder of the turn. So that's why we play Nightmare Unicorn. Well, Underworld Goddess is like debatably good anyway, because if you have the room for it, it's a fine card overall for a board breaker and as an IP target. But the Nightmare Unicorn, again, it might seem a little weird to play this in a world where Little Knight exists, but if we use our twin stuff and then activate IP, we want to be able to still have some good spot removal that we can go into. So that's why we are on the Nightmare Unicorn. But even the Nightmare Unicorn in that regard, I think is pretty optional. I would play Underworld Goddess though, like, I think that's still good to run, but if you don't own a Nightmare Unicorn for whatever reason, then I would also consider this decently optional in the extra deck. You could play a second Leela if you wanted to, but you really only need the one. We played 2 Kissekil and 1 Leela, because on our turn 1 combo line, we do actually go through to Evil Twin Kissekil. For those who want a refresher on the Twin Spright combo line, or if you've never seen it before, stay tuned for this first replay here, and we will show that off. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I have to say about this build. So we haven't played this deck in a while. In that regard, let's break the list down card by card, and then we are going to look at some games. So we're on 3 Effect Veiler, 3 Max C, 3 Live Twin Kissekil, 3 Live Twin Leela, 1 Live Twin Leela Treat, 1 Live Twin Kissekil Frost, 2 Spright Blue, 2 Spright Jet, 1 Spright Red, 2 Spright Carrot, 3 Ash Blossom Enjoy Spring, 1 Nibiru the Primal Being, 1 Triple Tactics Talent, 1 Secret Password, 3 Live Twins Sunny Snitch, 2 Called by the Grave, 1 Crossout Designator, 3 Spright Starter, 1 Spright Gamma Burst, and 3 Infinite Impermanence. That's going to be our main deck. For the extra, we are on 2 Gigantic Spright, 1 number 2, the Ninja Shadow Mosquito there, 1 Downer Magician, 1 Divine Arsenal, Zeus, Sky Thunder, 1 IP Masquerena, 2 Evil Twin Kissekil, 1 Evil Twin Leela, 2 Spright Elf, 1 SP Little Knight, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Evil Twins Trouble Sunny, and then finally 1 Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. That's going to do it for our list. Let's go ahead and see these games. Okay, our first opponent is going to be on Lightsworn Tearlament. And as I said before, this game will demonstrate a pretty solid going first turn 1 combo line here, so. Oh, I love the music. Oh yeah, no, I wasn't listening to this when I was playing these games. Sorry, I was a little quiet there. So, for our combo, we're going to start off with one of our twins, pulling out the Kissekil Frost with the Leela in this case. Going into the Gigantic Spright. Gigantic Spright effect, going to summon the blue from the deck. From there we can blue for Jet. Now you might be wondering, well, aren't we supposed to go into twin stuff? Why don't we just go into Sprites? Don't worry, we will still make twins with this combo line. After the Jet adds starter, we're going to link into Elf using 2 of our monsters. Use Elf to bring back the Kissekil Frost specifically. And now we're going to link Kissekil Frost and Spright Jet into Evil Twin Kissekil. Oh, listen to that saxophone, so good. Evil Twin Kissekil brings back the Leela. Gonna summon out the Evil Twin Leela. Now from here, Leela's effect is gonna bring back the Kissekil, the first one, and then we can use her effect to draw a card. From there, we're gonna link off Leela and Kissekil into another Kissekil. And that might look a little weird if you're not like super familiar with the combo line, right? But the reason that we do that is so that way during our next turn, or during our opponent's turn rather, the next turn, we can bring back the Evil Twin Leela from the graveyard using the Kissekil effect, and that will allow us to destroy a card when she is special summoned. If you were going second, then and you want to pop a card during your first turn, the second turn, then you would summon Leela first, then link her into Kissekil, then use Kissekil to bring back Leela to, again, then pop a card. But we do it Kissekil, then Leela on turn 1, so that way we can draw a card off the first Kissekil's effect when she comes back, so. Alright, got the starter that we haven't used yet. We'll use that to throw out a carrot. Setting our 2 call-bys and a Gamma Burst before passing. Oh, that was the other point that I didn't really get to during the profile portion, is that I definitely don't mind searching Gamma Burst with Jet, like, and using it as interaction during the opponent's turn. It might not be removal the same way that, you know, the Smashers or the Trap card is, or the Double Cross, but it is still potentially removal if they battle into one of your attack mode monsters, and it'll also protect your board from being destroyed by battle. So, on top of being a good OTK tool. Love having the double call by against Tier. Gonna call by the Havness, but I'm also gonna use Elf to bring out Jet really early here. That way I have a good monster I can send with the carrot if I need to, right? Although one thing that you could do with the carrot / red as well is you could Kissekeel for Leela, then use carrot to send Kissekeel, and then Leela could bring back the Kissekeel again. So, another option. Alright, opponent's going to overlay. We have our Max C up, which is very, very good here. Going for the Minerva. Here I'm going to activate Kissekeel's effect. Opponent's going to try to call by my Leela, but we're going to use the carrot effect, sacking off the Jet to negate the call by. They only had 2 other cards in hand besides the call by, so we have Ash Blossom as well, so I feel pretty good about using my Spell Trap negation here. Bring back the Leela. Leela effect, destroying the Minerva. This does trigger the Minerva, but I'm just going to use my second callby on that. I could have also used Ash Blossom, but I decided to use callby because I figured if my opponent was going to play like an extender card to try to catch up, it'd probably be something that you can Ash Blossom, right? So, alright, and that is going to do it. So, yeah, that is a, like, pretty model, you know, going first game for, you know, Twin Spright. We had our 1 secret password for a 1-card combo, and the resulting board was able to control down the opponent there. I mean, of course, you know, I say control down. It's not like Twin Spright is necessarily a control deck, but it is one of those decks where the end board, like, you end on a lot of interaction, but it's not all necessarily negates. It is a lot of the time with red and carrot, but, you know, stuff like the IP and the Kissekeel for Leela are things that you do have to time it pretty well. And then things like Gamma Burst too, right? So, yeah, it's a nice little example game there. We're going to go ahead and hop right on into this next duel. Alright, my opponent is playing Snake Eye, using the new Snake Eye Diabell Star. They're also using a very interesting engine. They're using a Battle and Boxer engine as a way to go to into Infernal Flame Banshee and get their plays going, which I think is really cool. Alright, going first again here, going to lead off with the Live Twin Leela. If you have the choice between Leela and Kissekeel, in my opinion, you should lead off with Leela, because that puts the Kissekeel Frost in your graveyard, which has a very relevant graveyard effect that'll let you draw a card. The Leela Treat's graveyard effect is like whatever, it just changes attack points. I can't get over this music. I love it so much. It's so good. Going for our Gigantic Spright, going to use a Gigantic Spright effect, but our opponent has another hand trap here. We had the cross out for the Maxi, but they're going to have the Veiler here for the Gigantic Spright. Oh, and there's the Blimp. I just noticed the Blimp go over. I love, too, that this board comes with a second mate. It's blah! I know it's actually Leela's, you know, little pet shark, but I like to think of it as a blah. Or however you say it. I'm sure I mispronounced that. Anyway. So yeah, here is... I actually completely glossed over the Battle and Boxer package, but... yeah, I saw Battle and Boxer Uppercutter come down and just assumed I was playing against Battle and Boxer. I think that's a pretty reasonable assumption to make. But yeah, after that got Veilered, as you saw there, it was followed up by Birch, and then now the opponent is going into the Little Knight. Little Knight to target the face down. I'm going to let it resolve here. And they actually have a bonfire for follow-up. So they're going to get to add the Poplar and then end up doing a full combo anyway. Going for the original Sinful Spoils. I almost conceded here, but I was like, you know, there's a chance I might actually live through this. And if I do, I mean, I have a Kissekeel in my hand, so I have follow-up plays in order to see how well this ends up going here. So they're going to go for Oak for Birch. And then here's the Flamberge, yep. Okay, linking off the Flamberge and the SB to go for the Promethean Princess here. Alright, here's Flamberge's effect, bringing back the Poplar and the Oak. Okay, this confused me a little bit. Yeah, my opponent brings back the Flamberge, but they bring it back in defense mode? I think my opponent... I don't know. This feels like a turn 1 combo. I mean, this is just a turn 1 combo. Like, I think my opponent kind of went on autopilot a little bit here. I don't know. That's really the best explanation I can think of why they would end on this setup. They should have been able to lethal. Like, if all I have is a defense mode Gigantic Spright, with that board state, I feel like they should definitely be able to lethal here. But they didn't even try to battle, I don't think. Oh, well, they can't because of SP. Oh, they can't because of SP. That's why they did a turn 1 setup. That makes sense. Okay. Gotcha. Never mind. Don't mind me. I'm just being foolish. So, Kissekeel is going to resolve here, but unfortunately they do have a Maxi on top of their board. I'm going to chain my own Maxi to their IP and try to get some draws here. They're going to chain Flamberge to summon out my Gigantic, so... Alright, Maxi resolving, and they're going to use IP to link off almost their whole board, along with my monster to go for the Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. Alright, so the Underworld's going to negate my Kissekeel, not that really matters. Sunlight Wolf brings back the Oak. I'm going to activate my secret password here, going for the Sunny Stitch, and I think I made a little bit of a misplay earlier. So, earlier, when I used Kissekeel, I summoned out the Leela Treat. But that was actually a misplay. I should have summoned a regular Leela for literally this exact outcome. Because I top decked to go into the Sunny Stitch, right? If I had had the Leela Treat still in my deck, I could have searched it. And then I could have special summoned Leela Treat by her own effect. And then, yeah, I would have been able to go into place. But as it stands, I can only really grab a Leela, which I can't special summon, and I've already obviously normal summoned. So, unfortunately, I'm just going to end up conceding here. You know, I figure my opponent, you know, almost assuredly... Well, they did have follow-up plays because they have the OSS in the yard, so... That was a little brutal. My own misplay there did end up costing me the game. I think it would have been a little difficult anyway to come back in that kind of a situation, but to be fair, my opponent on field anyway was out of interaction. Well, no, they did have the Promethean Princess as well that they hadn't used, and they could have used it with the Sunlight Wolf. So they did actually still have an out to my stuff there, even if I didn't misplay. Okay. I guess that makes you still feel a little bit better about losing. But that's the thing, right? It's easy to be like, oh, I would have lost anyway. So that ended up being fine. But I still made the misplay. So definitely still good to learn from that moving forward. Anyway, I got one more game that I want to show y'all before we finish off here. And that last game is going to be against Labyrinth. So let's see what we end up doing here. Now, this game, I am going to go first again. And I know it was 3 going first games. But here, my opponent is going to actually have some counterplay during my turn 1. Which, you know, considering it's Labyrinth, actually, is probably not that surprising. Yep, it's Arius the Labyrinth Butler. Let's go set a Trap Trick from the hand. Now, I am actually in a pretty good spot to counter this, potentially. Because I already have the starter in my hand, I can starter for Carrot in response to the activation of Trap Trick, and then potentially use Carrot on whatever trap card is, you know, banished, right? So they end up banishing Compulsory, and I was like, this is actually fine with me. Now, as I go to activate a Gigantic, they're going to chain the Compulsory, which, of course, Gigantic does need to remain on the field in order to be able to resolve. So, effectively a negate, but I can still go for starter here. Starter for blue, could use the blue effect to add the Carrot from deck to hand. Special the Carrot, now I can link off into a Spright Elf. Of course, following that, we are going to end up using the Spright Elf effect, and I actually bring back the red here. The reason for that, it might seem a little weird even though I'm playing in Slab, is because I do have that starter, right? So I can just use starter for Carrot, which I'm going to do during their draw phase. They have a Maxi, but given that my opponent's on Lab, I'm not going to use the Ash. They can have one draw here, that's fine. I'll just plan on trying not to use Elf's effect and saving the Ash Blossom for a Labyrinth trap card. Field spell comes down, set 2 and then pass. Not summoning with the Elf again because of the Maxi. I will, however, summon with Elf during my turn, bringing back Jet F, grabbing the Spright Gamma Burst. So, gotta switch to attack mode and just try to go for lethal here. But it's gonna flip Dimensional Barrier. Might look a little bit pointless to call Xyz monsters now, but the field spell gets to bring back the Arius Butler here, which I hadn't thought about at all. Although, to be fair, even if I had attacked with Spright Red, it only would have been a difference of 100 points, which actually would have left my opponent at 100. As you can see, they're at 200. All right, after that, we're going to link off the newly normal summoned Veiler with the red going for IP. Keeping Carrot up, of course, obviously for the back row. And yeah, looks like they aren't really able to play into that board there. So the idea there was that, like, I could have used Carrot to negate the face down that was already set. If my opponent sets a new card, I can IP with the Jet into SP to banish whatever they set. And yeah, I mean, either way, it's a very solidified game state there. So, all right. Those are my games. That's going to do it. Hope you enjoyed watching some Twine Spright action. Twin and Spright. Twine when you combine them. That's good. Anyway, yeah, we'll just go ahead and move now to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Just want to give you a huge thanks for watching all the way to the very end of the video. Believe it or not, that is actually one of the best ways that you can support the channel, is by watching the videos in their entirety. But there are many ways in which you can support the channel if you are so interested. The names that you're seeing on screen here, I gotta give an extra special thanks to, because these are people who have chosen to either become a member on YouTube, which if you're interested you can do as well via the join button next to the subscribe button down there, or have signed up over on Patreon and become members there. Link to that is going to be in the description below. Without the support that is being offered by, again, all the people that you're seeing on screen right here, I would not be able to take the time to dedicate to uploading daily YouTube videos. So thank you so very much. But there are also other ways you can support as well. Again, link to the description below. If you like my deck tracker that you'll see in a lot of my videos, the Untapped Companion, you can download that for free, and if you use my affiliate link down there, then that also goes a long way towards supporting the channel. That's, again, free. So is subscribing here on YouTube. That's also free and a huge way to support. You can also check out Twitch, once again linked in the description below. Following and subscribing over there will not only support as well, but also give you notifications of when I go live if you want to catch some of the live streams. But really, no matter how you choose to support, it all adds up, and it all definitely means the world. So thank you, each and every one of you. For now, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out, but more than that, I'm hoping that you have a fantastic day.